Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar is called Secrets of Designing Your Website for Moving Sales Leads. We're delighted you're with us, and we wanted to run through a few of the incidentals for today's meeting. Our webinar will run about 45 minutes in length. After the presentation has been completed, there will be about a 15-minute Q&A. We'll answer everyone's questions to the best of our ability. So if you have questions, type them into the YouTube page chat at any time during the presentation. A little bit about ourselves. My name is Bob Ottaway. I'm the founder and president of MarketersForMovers.com. We're delighted you're with us, and I want to introduce the other presenters. First of all, here's Chris Fambro.
I'm Chris Fambro. I'm the lead developer at Ottaway Communications. I've been with the company for over 10 years. I learned through experience, what's important and what isn't important regarding moving sales leads and moving websites.
My name is Andrew Nadofsky. I am the content department head here. I've been with the company for a little over 2 years. I have a little over 3 years digital experience. I currently supervise 6 people in putting together content for our clients' websites. Our experience with moving and storage companies lets us know what works and what doesn't.
So just a little bit about the company before we get started. We are U.S. based, and all of the work that we do is done right here in Troy, Michigan. We have about 14 employees. They're on site. Nothing is outsourced, so everything that we're able to tell you today is based on our company experience right here in our Troy offices. The Marketers for Movers is divided into 3 divisions: content, IT, and social. The main emphasis for ranking on Google and getting those all important moving and storage sales leads. It's for in-home appointments, as well as some online leads. To have a little fun, we talk about the 3 R's of optimizing, similar to the 3 R's of real estate. Yeah, the real estate world calls it all about location, location, location. How do you value a property based on its location? In advertising and marketing, the 3 R's are justify, justify, justify. And that's where we are with our optimization process. So when we optimize a website and when we recommend to you how to optimize your website, we want to leave nothing to chance or discretion. We want people to be able to measure what we're doing so that they have total confidence in the product. And we want you to be able to show your company, your clients, that same confidence. So how do you measure performance objectively? Well, that's where big data comes in. We're sure you're familiar with Google Analytics. It's a great third-party tool, and we use it all the time, as you probably do also, to measure how your site is performing online from a site structure basis, as far as traffic, geographic targeting, acquisition behavior, all of those things. But what about content? How will you verify research for your content? That becomes vitally important so that your company knows that what you're doing is the best it can be in the area of SEO. So we're going to talk to our people on our presentation this morning about that. And as we go through this, we're going to start with the home page. We want to make it easy for you to follow what we're doing and to address our secrets to finding great sales leads online in page order. Most of the work will focus on the home page anyway. So we want to have you take a close look at how visitors actually use your home page. It can be deceiving. So we're going to take a look at a heat map of one of our accounts and show you just exactly how people check out your homepage. For that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Chris Fambro.
So looking at our map example, the first thing you see is the red section. This would typically reflect most of the users. In this case, it looks like 92.3% of users reach this point. Now, there's some crossover where, like, some browsers have like larger windows than others. The yellow section goes all the way down to 75%, meaning that 75% of the people never make it past that portion of the page. You can see that's where our free gift is. Looking at what is above the fold, that's our term of industry. That would be generally considered the red section, but you could consider parts of the yellow section. Above the fold is any of that red section that you see reliably when you first enter the page. And anything below that doesn't generally get browsed. You can see where 50% of the people drop off. That's where the green meets the blue. 50% of people never make it past that part of the page. So that means the part of the page that is most important is that top section.
Yeah, so you can see that just because you have information on your home page does not mean that it's going to be read and that it's going to be seen. So that puts even more emphasis on the portion of your home page that shows up immediately, the portion above the so-called fold. And that means the header is going to get a lot of attention. To discuss that, we're going to pass the microphone over to Andrew.
So based on the heat map slide, it's obvious that you want to put your most important aspects above the fold in the header of your site. This obviously gets a lot of attention. And while you have your most important things there, it's important to not overcrowd it and keep it clean. So some recommendations we have for your header would be something like your logo. You want this to be strong, noticeable, the focal point of your website. Your phone number. A lot of people bury the phone number in the footer. They put it on the Contact Us page. Some people, or users rather, come to your site and maybe just want to call you really quick and don't want to bother looking around for contact information. So having your phone number up top and prominent we find is very useful to garnering more calls. Some interstate van lines require that your agent badge go in the header. Whether or not they do, we think it's a good idea to just put it up there. That gives you a lot of credibility and makes users trust you when they come onto your site. And the Angie's List and Better Business Bureau badges are two badges we know to be very important to people deciding to reach out to you. The Angie's List has users sign up for a profile before they can even review anyone on Angie's List. So, in a sense, your reviewers are being vetted before they leave a review on your site. The BBB is also very important. It's nationally recognized. It's a trusted name. People know what it means as soon as they land on your site. So, putting it up there really, justifies in the user's mind that they're on a safe, reputable website. Some of our clients push back on the BBB. They say it might cost too much or wonder if it's really worth it, but we find it's very important. We also think it's important that you link back to these sites so people can go to them and see your profiles and see that you're accredited with the BBB, or see your reviews on Angie's List.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So a great review of the importance of the header, and most of this has to do with credibility. You can see that we're trying to give the visitor to your moving and storage company website the feeling that there is going to be great trust placed in your business. After all, they are allowing you into their home, and they are allowing you to move their most prized possessions. So in order for you to compete, they need to be able to trust you. And all of the items that we're talking about here have to do with trust. A logo of a national van line on your site, Angie's List on your site, the Better Business hot link, so that they can actually click on that Better Business logo and be linked to the Better Business department, organization in your area. That all adds to the credibility of your site and makes it far more likely that they're going to continue on in the progress from visiting your page to getting to that all-important lead form and complete the lead form and fill it out. So dropping down from the header now into the more central part, but still above the fold, we're going to take a look at the main menu. And to do that, we're going to call on Chris.
It's commonly known that most visitors scan a website in an F pattern. That said, they're scanning the top row of your website first, which means that they're going to see the things on the left and then all the way to the right before they see anything else. That is a good indicator that you're going to want to put the major product or service first and then go in decreasing order of importance. The last thing we usually put on our navigation is the About Us. The reason for that is that people tend to view the About Us page in order to determine whether a company is trustworthy or not. And having it up there, even though it might not be the first page you see, we often find that is the second visited page on the site for that reason. The final thing that you probably would want to be concerned with on your main menu would be that there's no need for a home link anymore. Most visitors understand that the logo links to the home page now, so that's just basically wasted space on your web page.
One of the things that we've found in working on so many different sites for movers is the idea of should you go with this more popular panorama theme, or should you keep it more traditional in a slider and, well, we prefer icons. So our recommendation is to not do the panorama as a moving and storage company. Leave that to the airlines and people selling vacations and homes and things like this, and make it more of a functional site and a site that gets people right to the lead form as quickly as possible. Some sites have used the panorama theme and ended up putting a quote box right in the middle of the panorama theme anyway. You sometimes scratch your head and say why, but it's because they're not getting the quote. They're not getting the quotes. They're not getting the leads. So we believe that the best way to go is get the quote box right up above the fold, and to have the site be more functional and more of a selling site than actually a panorama mood creating site. You want to get that lead form completed, so having a site that is functional and works toward that goal is what you want. So you can see in this particular website that we put together, it does have animation on it, but it's got the quote box right there on the left-hand side. People read from left to right. We've tried it in both places and find that we get more people to fill out the form when it's on the left. And then you'll notice we still have some of the icons for our various services repeated below the slider, and those are all clickable and functional. So in our experience, avoid the more popular panorama theme and stick with a more functional theme. In talking about these features and services, eye-catching and easy to follow, we've talked about that. We've talked about the icons, and we feel that people understand icons. They are used to seeing them on their cell phones when they open up their cell phones, and we want to make sure that those icons are also clickable. It's amazing the number of websites that prospects come to us with where it's all static. It's not clickable. It's not easy to use. And when that happens, people move on. They move on to another site at another company. So by all means, make them clickable, make them easy to read, easy to find, easy to understand. Research seems to indicate that you should be writing your website for an 11-year-old to understand. Also, in featuring products and services, we want to talk about content and H1s for SEO rank and why that's still important on the home page. I'm going to ask Andrew to explain that, please.
So content is especially important on your homepage. A lot of people choose to skimp out a little bit on adding content, even if it's below the fold. Google crawls it, and for all of our clients, the homepage is the most visited page on their website. When looking at strategy for content on your homepage, this goes for the H1 header. That's the main tag above your homepage content. You want it to be general enough to encompass your entire site. If you start getting a little more specific, especially with key terms like local or long distance moving, you can start to compete with other pages on your website. So keeping the homepage general and extremely broad as far as topics go is a great strategy to enlist on your site. Also remember to only have one H1 heading tag on your website. If you're going to split up your paragraphs with other heading tags, remember to use H2s and H3s. That's just best practice for SEO. So to show you an example on a site we've worked on in the past, you can see the H1 here is Professional Movers in Buffalo, New York. So we have a couple other header tags. Those are H2s on the page. How can Rapid help you? And below that, planning your move. The content is general enough just to talk about Rapid as a company, mention a couple of the services, but not really be optimized towards any specific topic.
Very good. Thank you, Andrew. Also on the home page, we want to talk about customer reviews. Customer reviews, as I'm sure you all know, are extremely important, and they give your site credibility. Many visitors are not going to complete the Get Quote form until they have seen how other people rate your company. We've seen research that says that people believe user-generated reviews before they actually even believe government reports. And I'm sure you don't find that terribly difficult to believe. So when you are putting customer reviews on your home page, and you should have some type of customer review on your home page, don't fib about it. A website that has only 5-star reviews is not going to be very credible. So if you work in-house for a moving and storage company or an in-house webmaster, or if you are a consultant or agency for a moving company, please be sure and let the owner or the leadership team know that 5-star reviews exclusively hurt your credibility and will negate all the good things you're doing with the Angie's List logo and the BVB logo and all of those things. In addition to adding credibility through customer reviews, make sure that you get some of your past customers to recommend you on Google and Facebook. Google, of course, is going to prefer their own Google Plus reviews and feature them in the authority in ranking your page. And their knowledge graph is going to now capture the reviews that you're getting on Facebook. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're posting reviews on your homepage from customers showing all 5 stars, and they look over at the knowledge graph and see that you have a 1/5 in Facebook. Right off the bat, all the good work that you've done is going to be negated with that 1/5 on Facebook. So you need to not only manage the reviews on your website, but you need to manage reviews on third-party sites such as Facebook, mymovingreviews.com, and places like this. Also, in managing these reviews and keeping up to date on them, you want to do that as a part of your reputation management as well. So making sure that on at least a bi-monthly basis, you're checking out all of the places where people can leave a positive review or a negative review, that needs to be done. And all negative reviews need to be answered. People expect negative reviews. Research seems to indicate that about 15% of all reviews are going to be negative. So a 1-star is going to appear every once in a while. But if you get in there and answer that, and we've had clients that they've never even heard of the person that left a negative review. So, being able to say ownership is answering this review and we don't know who this person is, we think they've made a mistake, people will understand that. So negative reviews can be answered. They can be somewhat negated or neutralized, and that's important to do. It makes your company look real and believable and makes the site look real and believable, and that leads to more leads forms being completed. Education and information is important on the website, and we are scrolling down the page here, and yes, people aren't going to see, not as many people are going to see these as above the fold, but it's still important. One of those areas is called moving tips. I'm going to ask Andrew to discuss that.
So we find having a page for moving tips on your site extremely useful for a lot of different reasons, and we highly recommend following this strategy. As Bob said, it can be placed on the home page even below the fold. One reason it's a great strategy is moving tips in and of itself is a highly sought after search term. Once a user finds this page, the content's informational. It can give you authority as a moving and storage expert. It's helpful. It's not hard on sell. So people find it useful. It's easily shareable. And it may encourage users to even contact you and build a rapport with you and maybe eventually lead to a sale.
All right. So thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate it. We're going to continue moving down that home page and get to the footer. And even though it may be at the bottom of the home page and maybe not as many people see it, it still needs to be there, and it still can add to the authority of the site, the credibility of the site, and the informational nature of the site. This, again, all adds up to giving you more trust with the prospect, and that trust may lead to them completing a request for an in-home appointment. So as we move down the page, let's take a look at the footer. Not as many people are going to see it. We know that, probably maybe only 50%, but it still can add to the credibility of the website, and that credibility can lead to a get quote form being completed. So make sure that you have your address, your phone number, and your fax number in the footer. Of course, complete physical address and not a post office box, please. Make sure that this address agrees with the registrar address on your website's registration with whatever company you use to register the website. Google actually does check this, and having them match will add to the authority of the site, and that will improve your page rank. So another secret, Google is watching your registrar information. The footer also is a great place for badges, memberships that you may be in, AMSA, your state moving association. I would, again, relist Angie's List, relist the BBB. If you are a member of other organizations, chambers of commerce, places like this, again, it all leads to authority, and it's all very important in building that trust, which will eventually lead to somebody completing a get quote form. Below the footer is even important, and some strategy here and some secrets here. Over to Chris.
So because these are the least important on your page, but the most important for your visitors, as far as like what they're allowed to do, what they can do on the site, you're going to need to have things like your privacy policy, your terms of use. You can offer links to your customer reviews. Typically, we also want to have a link to that on the home page so that they can find those easily. We'll also include the contact us in the footer. But the main thing that we want to point out here is that you absolutely have to have sitemaps. And there's two different kinds of sitemaps you need to be concerned with. One of them you don't link in the footer. That would be the sitemap.xml. That's the pure code language that you're going to submit to Google. That you don't need to have in the footer. But what you do need to have in the footer is your link to the visitor sitemap. And I can show you what a visitor sitemap looks like. So typically you'll just have some links to basically every page on your site that is human readable. Again, excluding the XML sitemap. You're going to have them in order of priority, just like your navigation. And then the things that are underneath the footer are those privacy policy terms and conditions, so on and so forth. So again, you see it in decreasing order of importance.
It's very interesting when new clients come on board, and everyone, I'm sure you've heard the common question over and over again. How long does SEO take? How long does SEO take? And fortunately, you can type that into Google and you'll get an answer box on it, and it's from Forbes magazine, which is very credible, and it says 4 to 6 months. And that's accurate if you're doing everything right. One of the major failings of many webmasters, and if you're not a webmaster and you're at a company as director of marketing or a similar title, making sure that XML sitemap has been submitted to Google is critical in getting traction for your site. The site could get traction without it. It's just going to take a whole lot longer, and it could cost you the account, or it costs you your job. So be sure and take Chris's advice there on knowing the difference between the two sitemaps. Now, let's go behind the scenes in content and drill down here. We've given you some information from 10,000 feet. Now we're going to come down to ground level and kind of roll up our sleeves and get you into the nitty-gritty. Andrew?
So we find some of the most important aspects of content on a website are listed here: the title tag, meta description, H1 tag, and then we go on to talk about writing a page for max optimization and blog strategy. But starting with those top three, these are must-haves and are secrets to success on Google. They're some of the most important things and often overlooked, we find. And just to describe them briefly a little bit, a title tag is found in the browser tab, and it's also the link text that you see on Google search results. So this needs to be short, 50 to 60 characters, use important keyword phrases that are going to match the searcher's intent, making users want to click on your link. They need to be eye-catching, and using phrases from left to right in order of importance is best strategy here. Meta descriptions are that sentence or two just below the links. These need to be a hard sell. They need to tell people what they're going to get when they click on your link, offer some concrete points of sale, and catch the user's eye. The H1 is the header tag, so when somebody clicks on that link, it's the first bold, large phrase that they're going to see on that page. And these all need to kind of work in harmony. So for example, if I wanted to optimize a long-distance moving page, let's say I'm optimizing for the term long-distance movers. So I want that term to appear first in my title tag. I also want it to appear in the meta description, and Google has a habit of bolding out the key term in the meta as well, making it a little more eye-catching. And when somebody clicks on the link, they're going to see that term in the header, the H1 tag. So they're going to know they came to the right place and perhaps read a little bit more and then become a conversion for you. Yep, sorry. I don't know why I was handing that off. They're the next two. So over the next two slides, I'm going to discuss writing a page for max optimization and blog strategy. So one of our internal software tools we use for optimizing a page is Searchmetrics, which you can see here. There are a lot of different tools out there. You can use Moz, you can use SEMrush. They all work in different ways. I'm going to kind of run you through an example of how ours works and kind of explain some of the key things we look for when we're optimizing content for a site. That puts at ease that the page is as optimized as it can be for Google in our minds. So in this instance, we have a page that we've written for moving companies. This isn't a pre-existing page. We've written some text, we've put it into our tool, and the tool took 95 other URLs it found that would be our competition on Google and return some data for us. So in the left column here, you can see some must-have keywords, and what we have are move, moving, movers, etc., and it gives us a score, that orange line, based on the other 95 URLs. So what this is telling us is that we have a little bit of work to do. We need to mention these terms more frequently within our page to become competitive and rise above them in the ranking. Our own top weighting tells us what our own page is about. It also compares us to those 95 URLs, so moving, storage, rate, etc. Those all need a little bit of work as well. And this report actually expands a little bit more to give us more keywords that we can mention within our text. So the must-have keywords on the left, you notice are green for us. The keywords in gray are other topical keywords that we might talk about to expand the length of our content. The relevant score is telling us that these words are relevant to the topic keyword that we chose to optimize for. The documents in is telling us that the key term move, for instance, appears in 89% of the 95 URLs. The max weighting is telling us how well it's weighted within those documents. It gives us our own weighting and our own frequency, so how many times we've written our key term in our content, and lets us know that we might need to write it a couple more times to become competitive. So one of the things we find is very important that not a lot of people take into account is word count. Our software tool gives us a word count to shoot for. As I mentioned, some of the other SEO tools out there, they also have their own way of returning this information. If you don't have an SEO tool to use, you might just look at sites that are above you on Google search results page, take some of the content that's competitive with yours, get a keyword count idea of what they're using, and then maybe shoot for that or try to beat them. So you can get a good benchmark. Even if they are URLs above you that aren't necessarily direct competitors, in this instance it's returning Consumer Affairs as a competitor URL for us, it's still a competitor on Google. So even if it does have sort of an outrageous word count, you do want to, still be in a competitive word count on your own site in order to, be viewed as better or be viewed as better than that URL. So going across the list, not only does this give us word count, it gives us the H1, H2, and it's telling us if our focus keyword is within these tags. So, without even having this tool at your aid, you might want to put a long distance key term in your H tags. It's also telling us the top keywords in our headings, so we can either choose to optimize for these less or pick key terms that are more relevant to our page.
Thank you, Andrew. So you can see that there is much work to do and very scientific work to do in putting together content for every page on your website. And in order to improve your page rank, which will then improve your traffic count, which will then improve your opportunity to get more forms filled out and submitted, it all begins with having pages that are competitive. So it is important that if you are not able to afford buying research, that you follow this presentation that Andrew's made, and we will be recording this webinar, so you'll be able to refer to it on YouTube for your own benefit and go back and improve what you're doing. But you can see that when this page was first put together with a word count of 470 and the other 95 sites being in the area of more than twice as many words, we weren't competitive. So we had to go back and do more work in that area. Do you want to quickly address the answer box as well, Andy?
So another content strategy you can enlist on your website would be blog strategy. So the best way to approach a blog is not just focusing on a keyword, but rather trying to answer a question or give the user more information. One thing we found pop up on Google recently is something called the answer box. We also call this position 0, as it frequently appears at the very top of the page above any of the other results, and it's commonly answering a question that someone might type into the Google search. So on the screen you can see we've typed in SEO for websites, and this is one example of what an answer box would look like. On your own website you might want to try to answer the questions how or why. You might want to say, things to do in this area, how can I get it the top mover in my area, something like that. Putting a bullet-pointed list within your content provides, a quick and easy answer for Google to serve up in this case, and might give you a fighting chance. If you're struggling with competitive keywords like local and long distance, this might be the way to go, and it might, put you above the competition in a different way for different search queries.
We're always looking at opportunities to make an end run on getting our clients to page 1, because we know that the whole battle is being fought on page 1. We know 91% of all visitors never go beyond page 1, and we know that it's going to be very difficult for your website to get sales leads unless you get traffic. And we know the traffic is considerably less for those websites that don't get to page 1. So putting a blog together, as Andrew suggested, that may get you to page 1 for a helpful topic like, what should I know in hiring a moving company in Columbus, Ohio? Or how do I go about hiring a mover in New Orleans, Louisiana? These are things that just might end up on page 1 and might put you into a nice heavy traffic position, which will then translate into more visitors, and that will translate into more completed sales leads. Now we've given you a pretty nice in-depth report on the front end of the site. Now, some people will have optimized their site very well. It looks great. It's got a lot of information on it, but it's not getting anywhere near page 1. And if it does, it just doesn't seem to be getting the sales leads. It's a sick puppy. What's going on? They can't figure it out. Well, part of that's back end, and you have to be able to know how to put together the site structure. For that, we're going to turn it over to Chris.
So the site structure is namely the part of the website that isn't about content H1, things like that. It's more about how your site is built. And so it needs to be built for speed. We highly recommend using AMP. It needs to have organization, something that Google will understand. You can't have duplicate content on the site. And the link depth has to be shallower. Now we're going to go into, these are all just precursors for more in-depth, so we're going to just take it from site speed and work our way down. So what we're looking at here is how to define site speed. The first slide I have to show you is something from Moz.com, and they show a correlation between the page load time, which is defined as the total time it takes your page to load all the elements, or the total time it takes your page to load some of the elements to the point where you can click it. Either way, you see both on here, and what you also see is that none of them seem to reflect in page rank. So on the bottom you have the page rank, and it's pretty much flatline. It has no correlation whatsoever. So the amount of time your page takes to fully load doesn't matter. What we found does matter is time to first byte. And you can see that here it bears out on the first page of Google, results 1 through 9, there is a stronger correlation for site speed. So the faster the site, and we're talking, 0.4 milliseconds to 0.4 seconds to 0.5 seconds. It's not very much room. and then you can see it follows that line. So like the later the results, the longer the site takes to time to first byte. And if in case you're wondering what time to first byte is, it's that part of the it's not any of the elements on your site. It's how fast your server itself responds and says, "Hey, we've heard your request. Here we go." And then the rest of it is page load time. So really, what you need is for your server to respond within 0.4, 0.5 seconds. And if you wanted to test for your site how this looks, you can test your time to first byte on webpagetest.org. You can see an example of a chart that would show that. It's that second column. It says first byte, 0.555 seconds. This is just an example. Yours will say something different, but that's a handy little tool to let you know where you stand as far as overall server speed. So then you might be asking, can we ignore page speed since it doesn't have a direct correlation to the ranking on the page? And to that we would say absolutely not, because there's two more reasons why you would want to load the page quickly. One is overall user experience. If your users are going to a page and it takes way too long to load, say 6 seconds or more is a heavy amount of time. Generally you want it between 1 and 2 seconds tops, but if you're at 6 seconds, you can guarantee that you're probably going to have some issues. Your users are probably going to abandon. I know it's not the days of the 56K modem. We're all on cable now, and cable should be delivering our websites a lot faster. So if they bounce on your page, you're going to lose the traffic that Google sends to you. Google's going to sense that they're not getting what they want, and they're going to start deranking you. The other consideration is mobile, and besides the site speed for desktop, mobile is now the primary consideration for search engine ranking protocol. So if your pages are showing up as taking a long time to load on mobile, they're probably not going to include you as often in the search engine ranking protocol or PageRank. They're probably going to devalue. Now, that isn't to say that a desktop site in general is not going to be able to get SERP. But what it is saying is that you have to consider mobile first when considering your SERP. With regard to AMP, this is a short term for accelerated mobile pages, and what it basically is a stripped down version of any of your website pages. I could show you an example of what this looks like. So taking it from the top, you don't see a whole lot of graphics. There's one graphic that's part of the content on the page, but you have your basic information here. Just the name of the site, you have your navigate, which would be similar to the navigation you have on your regular site, but it's a stripped down version that's optimal for mobile. It doesn't take a lot to load this, and it doesn't take a lot to figure out what you need to do with it. The content doesn't have any, there's no sidebars, there's no extras, it's just a very plain set of content. You have your important tags, your H1 is up here, your H2s are throughout the content, and then of course towards the bottom you have your view non-AMP version. You'll notice there's not a footer there as well either. But if you're concerned about somebody coming to your page and not being able to do anything once they get there, well, really the point of accelerated mobile pages is to just give them the information that they're looking for. And of course, we all know when you give Google the information that the user is looking for, they're going to serve your page up more often. And so if you're concerned that they wouldn't be going to, say, your quote page, they can always click on the non-AMP version and then see the rest of the site. With regard to the benefit of AMP, currently it's only in Google Chrome on Android, but it's probably going to be expanding into other mobile browsers very soon. But you can see in that example that we have there, that image, that there's a section called AMP with a little lightning bolt, and that is basically telling anyone that's on mobile that this page is stripped down with them in mind. And so when you click on that link, what it'll show you is it won't even leave Google. It'll just show a sort of overlay of your site because it has just the basic information that it needs. And then they can X out of that page without ever having had to leave Google. The great thing about that, though, is that it instills an amount of trust. If they see that AMP and they know that they're going to go to an informational page, they'll get what they want, and then, of course, you'll get people reading your content and maybe wanting to fill out a form. Of course, anything that's AMP is probably going to increase on mobile as far as PageRank is concerned as well. The thing that you need to keep in mind with AMP is that you don't want to overdo it. Your objective is simply to provide information, so you don't need to AMP things like your homepage. You don't need to AMP things like your free quote box. Anything with a lot of bells and whistles that isn't strictly informational, you don't want to worry about amping, and you don't want to add things into your AMP pages that are tertiary. You want to focus on the things that are relevant to the information that they have on the page. So how you're going to organize your site is you're going to just like you do with your navigation, just like you do with your sitemap, you're going to take the most important things and put those at the top. You're going to categorize your web pages and make sure that they fall under some more broad categories. Your broadest categories are going to go at the top. So say your local moves page would maybe be one of your broad categories, your long distance move pages. But then underneath that, you'll have your like something specific to your local moving, say maybe so an example of something that you might list as a subcategory on your local moves page. So your local moves would be the parent category, and then the subcategory might be something like cows, where you offer a containerized moving service that pertains to local moves. It should always go from broadest to narrowest. The other thing you want to consider is keeping track of your anchor texts. Just to put this in a nutshell, basically you can take many different anchor texts, and an anchor text is defined as the information that you're linking. So not the long distance moving page, but the text that says in your content, long distance movers. That would be an example of anchor text that you're linking. And so you don't want to have the same anchor text going to multiple pages. You have to keep track and make sure that the anchor texts that you're using all link to the same page. And you can have different ones. You can say long distance movers and long distance moving company and point those both to long distance, the long distance page. But what you can't do is point one of them, say long distance movers, to the long distance movers page and also the long distance moving tips page. They all have to go to the same URL. And finally, you don't want to link URLs that redirect to a different URL. This is probably something that you would want to run by your webmaster, but essentially, if you're linking to a page and then that page then redirects to another page, you're undermining your own link integrity, and especially when it comes to the navigation. With regard to the duplicate content, you know it's duplicate content when two different URLs have the same content. So we have some examples of this that you may or may not be aware of. Example.com and www.example.com, those still count as the same page. So if they're both available, whatever you have on that website is going to have a duplicate in the other. And that's the same goes with your secure socket layer. If you're doing an HTTP website and an HTTPS, you want to make sure that either they don't share links or that when you go to one or the other, that it only remains on one or the other, that only one of them is available. So with a lot of our clients, we've been switching to all HTTPS, and so we just redirect the HTTP to that HTTPS version. Finally, another example is just something simple like adding a query at the end. And again, this is probably more for your webmasters, but these two pages where you can see that list is either equal to popular or list is equal to lowest, it's going to be the same content, but it's going to be organized differently. The problem is those are considered the same. Those are considered two different URLs with the same content. And way to negate a lot of this, and especially the thing with the queries, is something called canonicalization tags. They're tags that you're going to want to add to your page. And what they do is they tell the search engine bots that if they've reached this page by any other means, that there's a particular URL to use. And then the bots understand that this isn't duplicate just because it has different URLs that you can reach it by. It's really supposed to be this one URL, so it'll focus all the results on that. Finally, we have link depth. So your links, you don't, especially with the navigation, you don't want them to take more than 3 clicks to find. So an example of that would be when you have a link to a page that's only reachable by clicking to a link to another page. The best way to negate that is by having drop downs in your navigation that can reach just about every page on your site. Of course, those drop downs would be the subcategories or subpages of the main categories, but that would limit the amount of clicks that you require. And never link to a page only in your content. Have it in your navigation. Have it in your footer. Have it available. The more shallow the link depth, the better. Basically, you want to be able to your users to be able to reach the page in as few clicks as possible. It's basically just a reiteration of the first one.
Chris, thank you very much. As you can see behind the scenes, there's a lot to do, and all of it's important, and we can't stress the importance of site speed. It's one of the top 10 items that Google takes into consideration when ranking your site, and of course the rank of your site leads to traffic, and the traffic leads to sales leads. So it all comes together. We're wrapping it up now. We'll wrap it up with social channels. I know that in the area of moving and storage, people scratch their heads and say, why on earth are we on Facebook? Why on earth is this important, et cetera, et cetera. What we're seeing now is that social is just one more aspect of how Google is ranking websites. So while maybe we're not putting social together for your visitors, we certainly are putting it together for your website authority, because it will help getting you closer or to page 1, as I just mentioned. And we're able to look at this because one of the research tools that we use is our Site Metrics ranking factors, and you can see that over there in purple, it's all about social signals. All of the bar graph that's to the right of center means that they're more important than they were in past years, and social signals seem to be very, very important. You see Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Google+. So we use a lot of Facebook in moving and storage. We use a lot of Google+. Google+ maybe more than Facebook, Twitter and Pinterest to a lesser extent. And as we mentioned earlier, if your moving and storage company likes to do a lot of commercial moving, as many of our clients do, LinkedIn can be very beneficial, as people are now able to search on LinkedIn, and you'll have many businesses looking for B2B partnerships on LinkedIn. So that brings us to our conclusion here. Our ideas about SEO are summarized in pursuing a disciplined and procedural strategy. As we mentioned earlier, lots of checklists, lots of redundancy, lots of being able to look at what we've done and refer back to it and make sure that we haven't missed anything. Establish the priorities from your best practices guidelines. Best practices are featured all over Google. If you don't have a set of them, you can easily find them and adopt them. And make sure that you're checking your KPIs regularly to make sure that your site or the sites that you work on are performing properly. And that includes testing all forms. One of our secrets, make sure that the forms are tested. All of the forms on your website need to be tested at least once a month so that there are no surprises. Nobody complaining that they tried to get to the Get Quote form and it didn't work. That's a huge embarrassment, and it undermines your credibility with your owner or with your client. So be sure and check that always. We've given you a lot. As I mentioned, we are recording this, so you'll be able to get it on YouTube within the next 24 hours and refer back to it if you like. If you have any specific things that you'd like to talk to us about, here's our contact information. And visit our website, of course, marketersformovers.com. We hope this has helped, and we look forward to future webinars, and if you'd like to join our mailing list, please do so on marketersformovers.com. We know that the presentation went longer than 45 minutes, and we do apologize for that. We got a little long-winded here. If you can't stick around for questions, please email them to us at the addresses that we just showed. And if you can stick around for questions, we're going to start in on them right now, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris to start with the first question. So, Chris, I'm going to turn that over to you, and can you start in with any questions that we've received and kind of dole it out to the appropriate person, please?
And I'm going to pass that off to Andrew to answer.
So there's a lot of different ways you can set up a heat map on your site. The tool that we used earlier in our presentation, and one that we'd highly recommend, would be Hotjar. If you go to hotjar.com, it's very easy to use and understand. You just need to get together with your webmaster, and all that needs to happen is a tiny snippet of code needs to be placed on your site. And from there, it shows you a lot of different information as far as how people are clicking on your site, how they're scrolling. It even records each of their interaction. You can literally watch their mouse move across your site and how they interact with it. There's a wonderful free trial. It allows you to add 3 heat maps to your site, and from there you only pay per month if you want for more data. So it kind of truncates you, but we find it's enough. So if you have any questions about Hotjar, you can email me, but I think that is a great tool to use and a wonderful place to start if you want to start monitoring how people are using your site.
Okay, so our second question from our channel is, you were talking about duplicate URLs. How do I know if my site has any? There's 2 good ways to do this. The first is make your site part of Search Console. It's also known as Google Webmaster Tools. It'll automatically tell you, because the Google bots are going to be crawling your site constantly. They're going to be on your site more than you are, and so they're going to know better than you are what's duplicate content. So they're going to look through all the links that you have, all the pages that are available, and they'll tell you. And I think the other one that you'll probably want to implement, or at least have your webmasters implement, is using a spider like Screaming Frog or a Wild Shark. And it's a program that'll crawl the entirety of your site, and it will let you know what your title tags are, what your H1s are. It'll let you know if you have multiple H1s, which you should never have. So in that respect, it won't cover the content, but it will cover the page titles and the H1s. The final question that we have is, we have a lot of people looking at our quote page, but not many complete it. What's wrong? Well, that's kind of a loaded question. If you have a lot of people looking at your quote page, chances are it's something to do with too many forms, or maybe the questions you're asking are things that people don't want to answer. We usually limit to like the name, the phone, or the email. I wouldn't typically do both. And then if your forms are short and they don't ask a lot of hard questions, or at least they ask the minimum amount of questions that you have to have answered in order to, say, get a quote, part of it might be something to do programmatically, part of it might be something with a particular browser. Those would be the typical things that you would want to look at first. The best way to do that, though, is to just use your Google Analytics, and you can see which pages people are coming in on before they arrive at that quote page and not filling it out, and that can give you a key as to whether or not perhaps you're drawing the wrong visitors. Maybe they're typing in the wrong keywords for what you're offering, and they find out when they go to the quote page that you aren't actually offering what they're looking for. Those would be the hits, I guess. And with that, we're done with the questions.
Well, we just really can't take any more. The questions that have come in beyond this, we'll just answer offline via email, okay? But we thank everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it, and here's to great sales.